Alright, in the forest again. Walking down the trail, gonna do some wilderness exploration. Kind of just see what I can see, observe, take a look, do some hiking. Right now I'm on private land, walking down a trail. We have a tarp shelter permanently set up. So I'm gonna drop off my pack and just take a light sack with me full of a couple essential things and go out on a hike. This is the Upper Great Lakes region. Deciduous forest. It's the last day of July. Temperatures are about 82 Fahrenheit for a high, 58 or something Fahrenheit for a low. So it should be a good trip. I'll check in with you guys later. Stay tuned. Alright, so I'm at my first stop. I just dropped off my pack, so I have my little pack and a bottle of water. And I wanted to look at this area. It's called an open bog. It's called an open bog, and it's basically a low area that's wet. It's a wetland, but more specifically, it's like the soil, the drainage is really poor, so nutrients don't come up, so trees don't grow. But it's not like, there's a lot of different types of wetlands, and this one is basically just an open bog, so it's mushy. There's only like 3 different types of plants, like a grass, like a moss, and like a bush. Okay, so I know that there's a swamp right next to us that I'm heading to next, and that is supposed to be mainly Labrador tea, sphagnum moss, and black spruce trees. So I'm questioning that these bushes here are probably the Labrador tea. And then you can see the moss. It's under the grass, but it's like a fuzzy. This is all dry stuff, but. And then there's like a grass, and that's basically the only plant life here. I want to see where I am, so I'm gonna get the map out here. I got my compass. I'm gonna follow the trend I see on YouTube where it's a no names in videos like this. You don't go screaming where you are from the top of a mountain or anything, so I'm gonna respect that. So I made this map. It doesn't have any labels, but first we're gonna orient it. So I'm gonna line up the edge of my compass with the edge of the map, and then put north straight up, and I'm gonna move them both together until north points north. So the compass and the needle. Alright, just like that. So now the compass or the map doesn't move. So if I want to know what's that way, it's that way on the map. So I'm somewhere around in here. So the swamp is to the right of me. Here's the swamp. I was just in this bog. Here's the swamp, this whole area. It's about, I think it was 450 acres. I looked on the maps. So I'm somewhere in this region for sure. So if I want to go from here across this direction to get back to that swamp, I line the edge of my compass up with the direction of travel. Right, so this is where I'm going. I'm somewhere here. I just want to go a little bit more that way. I guess I should be going more straight that way, across. So I'm walking this way, and then I just move the bezel I line up the red needle and the little red arrow, hollowed out red arrow that spins. So now the point of direction I want to go is at the top of my compass. So I'm just gonna kind of carefully walk and keep north right where it needs to be while I walk. And I'm going that way, straight that way, away from my hands. Alright, and it's not far, 50 meters. I can tell just because I know the scale. Alright, so I'm at the Black Spruce Swamp. That's what this is. This area all in front of me. Like I said, it's about 400 acres. Something like that. It's big. There's a lake in the middle of it. So swamps are the same. They're just wetlands where the soil doesn't drain. So it's like it's just always wet most of the year or whatever, year round or whatever. I don't know. But this has got basically three main plants. This is a black spruce tree, the sphagnum moss, and the Labrador tea. So every one of these trees here is like a black spruce. If you see, like that's the bark. You can kind of see how spread out the trees are and how it's just one species pretty much. Everything's the same. The ground is just carpeted with this moss. Black spruce swamp. What do I notice here? I don't know. Just what I expected. I'm no expert, but I mean it's three species of plant. The ground is wet. I'm stepping on it's really uneven, so I'm stepping on high spots and then they sink in, but not all the way, so that my feet aren't getting wet, but the ground is wet. You can feel it. So I'm gonna keep on going around the edge of the swamp. It should curve to the west, kind of going southwest. It should curve to the west. I'm gonna follow this edge. So instead of trying to walk fast, heel to toe, like you do on pavement, I was reading a book talking about how you should be walking differently, flat-footed, slow. You almost swing your hips is what I read. I don't know if I understand it yet. Let me try to show you. Yeah, so you're supposed to step and swing your hip, basically. Flat foot. That was the description I read in the book. So I'm gonna kind of try to slow down my steps. It worked. I spend more time looking up than I do just stomp, stomp, stomp. And I can actually plan where I walk better too. Alright, I'm gonna keep moving on. Okay, so I was walking kind of this direction and I realized I can see the swamp kind of curving away from me. So all those trees back there in the distance right here, that's the swamp, and I'm kind of a little bit on higher ground. But I was kind of walking this way and I'm realizing it's thick and tough. I better be careful which direction I'm choosing. So I reassessed kind of, but that's why I'm stopped here. But I wanted to show off this ecosystem too. So it's like tall ferns. Right now it's getting really thick. There's a lot of sun in this area. But I got ferns and all sorts of trees. It's dominated by sugar maple and I think poplar, and there's a lot of white birch. But it's open hardwood, the ground soil drains well, holds nutrients well. It's like a medium water holding environment. Like wetlands hold a lot of water. This is a medium one. So this is the kind of forest you get. Lots of different plants. I couldn't even identify anything, but the ferns are tall. They're not tough to walk through, but when you have young trees in clusters, it gets thick. So you can see maybe right here. It gets really thick and all the trees are young, but so I just decided to pick up this rock because I saw it sticking out. But there was like a cocoon on it. But I thought, hey, that's kind of sciencey. We should pick up a rock and what's under the rocks? Nothing here. Alright, so there's a couple things I wanted to work on as far as my skills go. And one of them was to get comfortable with traveling lighter, having less stuff. So that's why I got just the small pack here, the fanny pack. It would be called a haversack 100 years ago, but it's got a small pack. So, right, I don't have a lot of stuff. I need to be comfortable. I'm out in the woods. I've been out here for an hour, two, just off trail the whole time. So, but I don't feel bad. I mean, the map is accurate. You have to trust the map. It's hard to imagine looking at a little line on a piece of paper, but if I go where I think I'm going, I'll get there. It'll be good. So, and the other thing I wanted to work on was land navigation. So, kind of doing that right now. Instead of picking a degree on a compass and saying I'm going to go for 600 meters straight line that way, I can say, okay, I'm around here. I want to go west. I want a westerly direction. So I kind of just pick my compass up every so often and I wander so that I can avoid things. I can find easier walking paths, which is what I just found now. Nice open hardwood forest in front of me. That's the way I'm going. I know it's hard to see, but take my word for it. Okay, I just wanted to show this quick. Talking about land navigation. So I think I just made a good decision. So I'm somewhere in here, just south of the swamp. And I kind of started coming south, like that. And then I'm kind of looking that direction and it looks thick. It's going downhill. So last time I just went right through it on my last video. I just kind of decided, well, that's the way I need to go, so I'm going that way. But this time I realized that if I look to my west, on the landscape in the world, it looks better. It looks more open. That's where I want to walk. So I decided, instead of just deciding where to go on the map, I look on the land and I decide. So I'm going to go west right now because it's easy walking that way and it's tough walking this way. So let's go this way. I think that was a good choice. Alright, I just noticed this tree here in front of me, so I think now's a good time to talk about tree species a little bit. So this bark is really flaky. See, like this is a flake, flake, flake. Right, I think this is black cherry. Alright, I'm no expert. So if I look this direction, you see these splotches here? That's how I've been taught to identify this as maple, and I think that means sugar maple. I'm not sure. White birch is pretty easy to identify. And there's a couple other types of trees for sure, but just wanted to point those two out. Black cherries are kind of rare, and they don't get very big. They don't get as big as maples and whatnot. Here's an observation. Some kind of mushroom, fungus, right on the side of this dead tree. I don't know what it is. Okay, so I'm heading southwest. Kind of followed the easier terrain for a while, and then there was a point where I kind of had to start cutting into the thicker stuff, getting into the lower ground, which has thicker brush. But kind of unsure of where I was. I didn't look at the GPS, so I had an area on the map. I knew I was somewhere in that region, but I didn't know how far to the left or the right of that area I really was. So kind of questioning, but I mean, I knew my direction. And then here I hit a landmark on the map. It's a four-wheeler snowmobile trail running through the woods. And then I know the creek is on the other side of that. And I was kind of aiming for a point on the map that seemed to be close to the creek. And actually, I didn't know it, but the creek is right there. So I hit it pretty good right where I was aiming. I'm gonna head down here so you can see it. There it is. Found my creek. All right, it's time for lunch. I'm right at the creek still, and I cleared the spot up here a little bit. I got a rock to sit on. The creek is right there next to me. You can see it. Gonna have my lunch. And a little twig fire right in front of me. once it gets burning hotter, won't be so much smoke. Alright, that's already better. For lunch, oh man. For lunch, I got a turkey wrap. A big sloppy one. Drink lots of water. So I'm at this creek. So this is all I got with me right now in my small pack. And because I was coming out here to have lunch, it was such a hot summer day, middle of summer, in the middle of the day. I wanted to cook something, but I don't really need to be eating hot food like that at this time of day. So I decided I'd bring a turkey wrap, but I gotta do something on the fire, so I've been lugging this big container around with s'mores in it so that I didn't smash my crackers. So let's roast some marshmallows. There, I got cracker, big old piece of chocolate because I love chocolate. So, I haven't actually done this in a number of years, so we'll see. But I think it's a pretty simple process. A bit of a mess of my bag over here. There. marshmallow on a stick. Put a little bit on the fire. Not too much. Yeah, so they start on fire. I remember when I was growing up, I don't know why exactly, but I think I just didn't want to bother. And I would just basically hold it right in there till the whole thing burns, and then try to time it and blow it out. And then eat my s'more just because I wanted my s'more. Kind of like that, where the whole thing catches. I don't know. Certainly cooking. Certainly hot. I think it's good enough. So I need to somehow sandwich this on here. Hey, there we go. Give it a second to melt the chocolate. I got myself a s'more. I haven't had one of these in so long. Kind of forgot what it was. It's basically just a chocolate sandwich. I bite into this cracker and it's chocolate. I love it. Alright, well I'm going to turn the camera off, have another s'more, finish my water and fill it up. And then I think I'm going to chug another half of it, fill it up again, and head on back to where I dropped off my pack. Basically this is the turnaround point, going back where I came from. Alright, I'll check in with you guys later. Only you can prevent forest fires. in the creek. Got my lunch packed up, camp cleaned up, ready to hit the road. Drank lots of water. Just wanted to take one last look at the creek. Now I gotta get off this rock. Alright, let's take a look at the map. So, I started right here. Came down and around. I think I hugged this pretty far on the north, right along the edge of the swamp. And right here, I went straight southwest. Came down a little bit and it started getting thick, so I decided to come this way till I got to around here, and then I came south. I think I'm right here, but I could be wrong. Could be way over here, but I think I'm right here. So now I'm gonna head this direction till I get to this high point. I saw it. It's pretty obvious that it's a hill. And then I'm gonna shoot east across back this way. So let's take a bearing. So I'm gonna line the edge of my compass up, the edge of the map. I'm gonna put north up. I'm gonna orient my map by turning the whole set now. This way. Okay, so the edge of the compass on the edge of the map, pointing north. Okay, so now when I'm looking that way on the map, let's see, if I'm here and I'm looking this direction, that means I'm looking this way on the map. So now the map is oriented. We're going to keep the map still, put the compass, the edge of the compass from where I am, right here, the direction I want to go to, which is this hill. And then I turn the bezel. Alright, so now I'm turning this rotating part, and that hollow arrow will fill right over that north. And now whatever this degree reads on my compass, right where this notch is on the top, that's where I'm headed. So this is 16 degrees. So now when I walk, all I do is I go the way the compass faces, and I make sure that the north arrow is in the shed, which is that hollow red arrow. It's shaped like a outline of a shed. Red in the shed, they say. So now, as long as I keep that arrow where it is, I walk right where the compass is facing. So I'm gonna do that till I get to about here, and I'll maybe check in with you, and then I'm gonna head west. Okay, I just wanted to film this habitat. So it's a lot of young trees. Right, everything here is, you know, smaller than my fist. Most of them. There's a little bit of undergrowth, but the trees are thick. Every couple feet. I believe these are all popples. Don't know a lot about the environment, but my guess is they're all roughly the same age, the trees, so I don't know if it's a common thing when there was a clearing or a field or what. Clear cut logging, I don't know. But all these poplars are growing basically at the same age, and they're all dominating the vegetation here. The only thing else growing is small ferns and shrubs. Alright, I'm just walking by and I see this huge hole in this tree. I had to come take a look. I thought I'd show you guys. So, this big thing here that looks like a tree, well, that was a branch. And it cracked right out of here. It came down, and look at how big the tree is. And it's all green at the top. Still growing. Come around the backside. Boom! Another huge branch down. There's a hole right through the middle of this tree. I made a little noise and then I kind of stuck my head in there, but here's what it looks like. Pretty crazy to see a hollow tree like that with full foliage on top. Alright, I'm taking a break on a log. Breathing pretty heavy, walking, crashing through brush, but I'm heading east right now. I got a little turned around. So I was kind of walking in a direction and I hit kind of a land feature that I didn't recognize, which was like a swamp, low spot. And it kind of disoriented me a little bit, so I kind of went south and thought, oh, maybe I need to be over on that ridge over there or something like that. And I kind of meandered around a little bit and I took a compass heading and I was completely facing back west. I'm supposed to be going east. It's like, yeah, this wasn't it either. So then I came back to where I was originally and I looked at my GPS and I could see my track, right? So right where I got a little disoriented, I went back to that point and started heading east, which took me to my swamp. So now I'm going to walk around the southern edge of this swamp and we'll see what happens. Found a bit of a trail here. Still walking the edge of the swamp. I walked in the swamp as opposed to just on the high ground because the high ground was thick with brush and plants and undergrowth. So I walked in the swamp mainly. It's squishy, but I wasn't really sinking in. My boots are wet, but my feet don't feel wet. Certainly never went below my ankle in the water, not even close, just around my toes and stuff. But so I'm around the edge of the swamp and I'm going back up north. I'm on the campsite of the swamp now, and I'm basically just heading up the edge for a while. Don't really have a gauge for how far I go up the edge, and then I'm just gonna cut east. And I should be pretty much at camp or on one of the forest roads around it. So I'd say it went pretty good. My navigation skill that I wanted to work on, where I don't follow the map as much as I follow the landscape. I look out, see what I like, and go that way, keeping in mind a general direction, of course. But so, and my other skill of carrying less stuff, which is why I have just this little pack. I felt completely comfortable out here this whole time. I didn't need a tent strapped to my back and a sleep system to feel comfortable. I certainly wouldn't sleep without it, but if I'm just walking around, I don't need all that stuff. So maybe that'll inspire me to carry less other gear. All the luxuries like binoculars and hammocks and extra cooking pots and tons of water and tons of food and tons of little gear, all that stuff, which I think I'm getting pretty good at deciding what's necessary and what's just overburdening myself. So yeah, today I'd say it was a pretty good trip. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, hit the like button. If you want to see more stuff like this, you hit the subscribe button. And I will hopefully see you guys on the next video.